side of the pond. This one goes to 11. That's our 11th show.
Number 11 is way higher than I expected we would ever get.
I figured we'd crap out by like 6.
Yeah.
He's DJ Switzer. I'm Jeremy Lance. Pretty large amount of topics. We got a pretty good haul tonight.
Things to talk about.
It's Monday night that we're recording this. So, sorry, we can't recap the Capital One Cup. I'm sure that's going to bum a lot of you out.
Everyone's going to be heartbroken.
Well, there is that, actually. Arsenal-Chelsea is going to be decent.
There are a few decent matches.
Outside of the fact that I'm not sure what kind of a bench Arsenal has to even field.
Not too many.
That match?
If any at all.
Yeah.
I think Nicholas Bentner and his hair.
It's going to be Bentner. A lot of Bentner.
Looking forward to that.
Can they go get the other Bentners? Is it too late for that?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
So it's Monday night. We got a lot of EPL action to cover. Also, obviously, last night, the MLS regular season came to a close.
Grand finale.
We had some fireworks, I guess.
A lot of things
Dempsey
happened.
finally decided to score a goal.
Yeah. Whoever had that website, actually 2 websites, can now turn those over to Yes.
Oh, were there, did Dempsey score tonight?
Yeah, has ClintDempseyScored.com, and I think something along the lines of
Everyone's ripping
Did
off
you
the
score?
original one, which
Yeah.
is the one during the Cavs. Cleveland Cavaliers 23-game losing streak. There was the, did the Cavs win tonight?
Yeah.
And it pretty much just always said no.
Well, I mean, it's nothing new under the sun.
No. So we got EPL action. Some good ones there. Wrapping up the MLS. We will also we kind of threw this around on Twitter. I forget exactly how we got on this topic. I think it was because of El Clasico, and you kind of talked about the fact that you kind of enjoy watching some Real Madrid from time to time.
I do. Guilty pleasure.
Second club, is it okay?
I don't know.
If it is okay, if we are going to give the green light, are there parameters? I mean, you just can't go willy-nilly.
I heard you came up with some parameters.
I did, because I'm that kind of a douche.
All right.
I got rules, and everyone better step to my rules.
Wrong side of the pond police.
I'll come after you.
Yeah.
And we also got a little World Cup talk. I know we had a question on Twitter. Little World Cup. There's kind of some news this week. Suggestions being made about expanding the field.
Yeah. That's a little crazy.
That's always a great idea.
I know. Pile in the teams.
If they do play-in games, will they be done in Dayton, Ohio, just like March Madness?
You would expect.
I would hope so, yeah.
It's a pretty neutral ground.
They can play it where the Dutch Lions played it. That seemed to be a pretty large facility.
Piqua, Ohio, hosting World Cup qualifiers.
There we go.
Probably has a better pitch than some of the places in Africa. So.
Oh, absolutely.
At least in length.
Guarantee that one.
In length.
All right, let's get to it.
All right.
Weekend action in the EPL. Let's just start with the big one, obviously. Chelsea hosting City, and going into this, I think I might have mentioned it a little bit last week. I forget. I was kind of throwing it out there a lot to people. I did not have high expectations for this match.
And that's why you want to start off with it, just so you can gloat.
Chelsea has not played City well lately. The last time they beat City.
When was it?
AVB was running the show.
Hey, he is a quality coach.
Well, hey, they got the W that night.
Yeah.
Frank Lampard converted a PK, and like middle of December, they showed his dad was all bundled up going, yay. It was...
Oh, Frank's dad.
Yeah, Frank's dad. I don't know who AVB's dad is.
Yeah. I don't think anyone does.
I think it's probably the guy from the Dos Equis commercial.
It most likely is. They're both that handsome.
They are. And they probably both do the Spanish side buckle as well.
Oh, absolutely.
This match was, again, going into it, I was not expecting much. I think I even told my brother this is going to be 3-1 to City.
Ooh.
I was not.
No confidence at all.
I don't have confidence against City because we've just played so poorly against them.
And you haven't really had a striker at all yet this season, that's decided to show up on a consistent basis.
No. Well, I mean, going into yesterday, we've had one goal from the striker position, and that was the week before.
Hey, that guy that's on loan that you guys actually own, he scored again this weekend.
Yeah, he's got 5 now.
Yeah.
5.
How many more is that than the Chelsea strike force?
Well, now 2.
All right.
And let's get to that.
Okay.
Fernando Torres misses an early one. And there it began on Twitter. Everyone,
here's Fernando. He's back.
He's back. He sucks again. And the second I saw that happen, I knew that that's what was going to come out of Twitter.
Well, let's be fair. He may still suck.
He may still suck. He may still be lost. Someone pointed out that it is funny, though, that if he does find his form, it's with the nemesis of the man who was brought in to bring his form back in Rafa.
Yeah.
Rafa was brought in to be like the horse whisperer for Torres.
And if Mourinho turns out to be the Torres whisperer, I think it's going to crack the space-time continuum. At least in Rafa Benitez's world. You can read about it on his blog.
There'll be a fat Spanish waiter in Napoli just crying it out.
Yeah, he will.
So he misses that early, and everyone's saying he's going to blow this. He's terrible. There he is again. He's choking. I mean, it was a pretty wide-open shot he had. Although on replay, it probably was offside. The flight didn't go up, but
yeah,
no harm, no foul, I guess.
Yeah, it didn't go in.
Scoring, so
yeah,
not that big of a deal. And then not too much long after that, he charges down the right side, goes straight to the line, cuts over, finds Schürrle right there.
He was wide open too.
Oh, absolutely. I have no idea what they were doing.
So
I mean, you're playing against a City side that Vincent Kompany's out.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of said that they were going to exploit the problems that they were going to be having trying to fill that hole.
Yeah, I mean, Nastasic is a promising young player.
Yeah.
Julian Lescott,
yeah.
Not a bad player either, but not exactly someone you would hinge your entire Premiership hopes on.
So they
not used to playing together.
No, you could tell that there was a bit of a
disconnect.
Yeah, they weren't. It wasn't a fluid motion in the back there.
As we'd see later in the match.
Yeah, that kind of showed its head again later on.
It did. But before that happened,
Aguero does what Aguero does.
I
mean, good Lord.
Right off the kickoff as well. I mean, kind of set the head.
Yeah, you really thought the second half could really just get away from Chelsea quickly.
Yeah, the way that City came out and just kind of pushed that entire movement forward. It was an impressive run, something that we saw a lot more out of City when Aguero first signed with them.
And I wanted to ask you this. I don't know about you. I was kind of thinking about this when that goal happened and kind of my emotions of when Aguero's on the field. I say right now, him and Suarez are the two guys that any time they're in their attacking end with the ball, you clench up.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, geez, he's going to score.
Something could happen.
He's going to wiggle his way through that defense and score.
He'll probably break some laws of physics, making sure the ball stays on his foot despite getting tackled and knocked over.
Yeah. But I think in the EPL, those are really the only two guys that consistently, if they're playing against my team and I see them with the ball, I freeze up. I'm like, oh,
pucker up.
This is not good.
Uh-oh.
I can't. Yeah, I was going to throw that to you. Is there another guy that does that to you?
Not at the moment.
I mean, not even RVP really does that.
No, I mean, Gareth Bale was probably last season the player that could do it for you the most. He got the ball in the offensive third or, shoot inside his own half.
Right.
And he could run forward and turn something into nothing.
Rooney used to be that guy for years. I would say he's probably still that guy.
He's coming
back. If it's a free kick.
He's coming back.
He is. He's coming back. So it was a 1-1 draw heading towards the late stages of the match, and I was kind of telling my buddy who's a City fan afterwards. I was kind of apologizing. I'm like, hey, sorry about that.
Sorry to nip this from you in the worst way possible.
I hate that had to happen. At this point I had talked myself into, hey, a 1-1 draw. I'm so good with that.
I'm happy with that result.
We got a point. I wasn't even seeing that happening.
Right.
I was predicting, a loss.
From a neutral's perspective or a Spurs fan's perspective, I was happy with that single point.
Yeah, a single point no one's making any big moves.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of lets you catch up a little bit.
Yep. So let's explain the scenario for those of you who didn't see the match.
Your boy, Willian, brought on.
Yeah.
Kind of sends one, just kind of clears it downfield.
Mm-hmm. Just a big haul out.
Nashtic heads it as Joe Hart is closing in on him.
Yeah, and this is outside the box, just outside the box.
So I guess I've been piling on him a lot. Mm-hmm. Joe Hart.
We've talked a lot about how he's generally sucked of late.
was this Joe Hart screwing up, or who's the onus on?
I mean, it's been a really well-argued point since it went down,
right?
And rightfully so. It was a terrible defensive mix-up to see a defender head the ball into his own net effectively. I mean, he Torres was there to finish it off, but
he had DiMichelis giving chase, but that wasn't going to happen.
Joe Hart claims that he was screaming his head off for it and was dropping an F-bomb in the process. He's quoted as much. It did look
like he was yelling.
Yeah. There's still a miscommunication.
Maybe he was yelling at himself. Stop.
Why
are my legs still moving?
Why am I out so far? I mean, that obviously could have been something he was yelling, but it's a mix-up on both parts. I mean, it's definitely attributable to the fact that back four, including Hart playing with those guys in front of him, they're not really used to that yet.
Right. But so if Nashvik is heading this ball, he is figuring that Joe Hart is back enough to catch said ball, right?
Right.
I don't know how much difference this really made in the end. Not only is Joe Hart, he can't get to the ball, but he then basically sets the pick and knocks over Nashvik, like as he goes running towards the ball.
Oh, yeah.
Knocks him down.
Yeah.
I mean, puts him right on the floor.
Like, you idiot. Like, I'm tackling you because I know we can't do anything to stop this inevitable goal. Yeah, I mean, it was terrible. As a defender, it makes me want to, like, curl up in a ball and die. Like, I feel awful seeing that happen. But at the same time, I would love to blame Joe Hart a little bit for this, too.
Yeah. And he seems to be getting the brunt of the blame in the media.
Right.
Because I think that the knives were already out for him.
They definitely have.
They've been out for him all season. I mean,
we've shoved a few in his back.
We've gone after him a little bit. I mean, he's had some bad matches. And we've talked about the fact that he has no reason to try any harder than he's trying, because at both club and country, he has no one nipping at his heels.
Nope, no competition.
So Torres capitalizes, though.
He did.
And you got to hand it to him. Even with he capitalized, he gets the assist, and throughout, I gotta say, Torres had a really good game.
He's been playing well lately. We've been saying that.
He has, and here's the thing, like, I feel like if you go back and look at the last season or so, including this season, a lot of the so-called big matches that Torres starts in, he may not get on the score sheet, he may not do much that shows up in the stat column, but I feel like he tries to reach in that next level.
He does try to impact the game.
You
can see that he's putting in the effort, and it's not for lack of effort.
Half the time it gets him sent off.
Yeah, sometimes it does. He's trying too hard.
Happened once this year, happened once last year.
It'll happen again, folks.
But he always seems to really kind of come out for these big matches.
He does.
And we talked about Mourinho's problem with Mata, and one of the things that was speculated is Mata sometimes shrinks in big matches. Mata, by the way, nowhere to be found.
Nope. Still not getting any time with this squad.
We'll probably see him Tuesday. Do you think that's part of it? Do you think it's the fact that just Jose wants people that are going to show that willingness to come out there and fight? Just throw it all out there.
You'd expect, and if nothing else, we knew that Jose was elated with the result and the goal because of the way he celebrated that second goal.
Right. Because, if you think about it, going into, with the rotation, it technically should have been Eto'o should have got the start.
Well, are we counting games? Are we really going to say that Mourinho's going to follow that tight of a rotation?
Well, he kind of was up until that point in some regards.
Silly you thinking Mourinho follows some schedule as simple as math.
Well, he had Eto'o in the weekend clash. He had Torres come out with his brace.
Right.
Against Schalke, the mighty Schalke.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of thought it would go back. But no, there's Torres.
It didn't.
Getting the start.
Yeah.
And I think he went with a guy that he knew was going to run out there and leave it all out on the field.
Well, that's true. And on top of that, he's probably, of their strike force, the one that has probably the most Premier League experience, too.
Sure.
So
let's talk real quickly, though, about Jose Mourinho.
It was great.
He got a little excited.
He did.
And for the second week in a row, he entered the unwashed masses.
Yeah, he was into the stands.
Now, allegedly, he was looking for his son.
To celebrate with his son.
His son, who apparently, he must know somebody, was able to get some pretty good season tickets right there behind the bench.
He didn't know that his son would be sitting there, apparently, and then he turned and found out he was there and just could not not celebrate with his son.
Now, his son was that red-haired young guy, right? His son was not the slightly plump man in the purple shirt that kissed him upwards of a dozen times.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. There was more man love going on there.
I was waiting for Jose to just slap the guy.
Well, or plant one back.
No, that's possible.
You wouldn't put it past him.
I literally put nothing past this man.
Except for squad rotation.
Apparently, I can't.
You
put
wanted
that
to
past
follow
him.
exact science.
I wanted to. So that was kind of the big match of the weekend. A lot of stories come out there. Is Torres back? Is Joe Hart officially a disaster?
Stay tuned next week. We'll find out.
The other little tidbit we do need to put out there is, for us American viewers, Tim Howard on the call with Arlo White.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about that?
I mean, he didn't do a bad job.
He did not do it. I thought his insight was great. Some of the things he brought out there was like, it kind of made me go, kind of reassess some stuff. Felt like he was giving a little too much love to the officiating.
Yeah, he was.
It's like, you don't love the officials.
No.
But he did make a good point about them. That, the officials that actually are willing to have a conversation with the players actually respect, instead of the ones that just pretend like they can't hear them.
Or, just act like a hard ass.
Yeah.
So, no, I don't think he did a bad job, and you could tell it was his first time doing it. And I would be nervous as well.
I feel like he did need some more energy, though.
Yeah. But he doesn't seem like a guy that's going to be talking with a ton of energy,
No, but you need that.
Yeah.
That needs to exist. I mean, maybe if you wanted to do commentating in England, you could probably get away with a little less energy. Some of their commentators are a little more stiff. And
are you implying that he
school.
could never do a job with Gus Johnson?
I'm saying him and Gus Johnson are kind of polar opposites at the moment.
Okay, so maybe they balance one another out. Tim Howard and Gus Johnson calling your 2022 World Cup.
Soft-spoken and full of wisdom, doesn't get terms correctly, and is loud. That's the two ends.
Seems pretty good.
Two ends of the spectrum.
How long do you think it would take before Tim Howard would punch Gus Johnson in the face?
Probably, I'd say the 30th minute.
30th minute?
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it much further than that. You'd hope anyway.
But that would only happen 2 or 3 times before he'd finally just erupt.
All right, get him out.
Drop that beard on him.
Yeah. It's a fine-looking beard.
Good night. You could get lost in that thing.
You really could. I want to run my hands through it.
Let's talk about another American that had a solid weekend.
Okay.
Sunderland 2, Newcastle 1.
Wait, Sunderland won a game?
Sunderland won a game. They are now sitting at 4 points, I believe.
That's an incredible result for them. Actually, in their derby.
It is, yeah. It's
Weirtime derby, a big one in the Northeast.
And true to the Northeast, it was raining horribly.
Yes, it was.
But Jose had a great performance.
He did put in a good shift.
There was a lot of talk going into this match about, does the new manager see him in the future of this club? Does he need to be looking for a January transfer, like apparently we'll get to it here in a minute, but Breck Shea is? I don't know. I think there was a lot of questions about his role at Sunderland going into this match, and it was kind of a relief to see that he does fit in, there alongside Fletcher.
Right.
And played really well.
Well, I mean, it's helping that he's playing in a 2-striker formation at the moment, which is weird because we've always talked about Josie needing to really be, the central striker with wingers feeding him in. And he's doing much better having someone else up there to help him with the load. And it just seemed evident that for a change, he was able to actually move off the ball and expect to perhaps get the ball back. Because beforehand, he was having to win that ball on his own.
Yeah.
So we talked, and I'd probably said it 2 or 3 times. He's been on an island all on his own.
Yeah, he kind of had to do the whole work on the final third by himself.
Yeah. And he and Fletcher did combine well together. And obviously it was Fletcher who actually pipped the opening goal for him.
Yep.
Went into the stands himself. Kind of Jose-esque.
The stands were just pouring out.
I know. Everyone's getting a lot of love out there.
Even that second goal.
Spend the extra money, kids, and get the close seats. I thought
Josie wasn't coming back.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to, crowd surf him out of there.
Hey, they like it out there.
It's good. Hey, you know what?
Feel the love.
It's your first win of the season.
Yeah, get in.
You're getting relegated. Just enjoy it. Just enjoy the moment.
So, they did play well. Newcastle did play poorly. So that can't really be ignored.
Expected.
Yeah, they have been so wildly inconsistent this year, which is pretty typical of Newcastle, to be honest.
Jose kind of almost like he might fit in well at Chelsea. A striker that gave great service on that second goal.
Mm-hmm.
Barini. Holy crap.
Yeah.
That was a freaking shot.
Former Chelsea player, no less.
Yeah, I mean, sort of.
Yeah,
he was.
I wouldn't necessarily call him a player because he didn't really play.
Yeah, he was getting some De Bruyne minutes. Little story that kind of came off of this. It didn't really affect this match because it was at Sunderland, but Newcastle has banned the 3, I don't know if it's all 3, but 3 local papers from the press box and all press conferences at Newcastle home games.
For talking crap about Mike Ashley.
Yeah, for basically they said being too negative about their coverage of the Newcastle protests.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's not surprising that Mike Ashley would kind of make an asinine decision up there. I mean, it's kind of par for the course.
The Journal, the Sunday Sun, very creative name, and the Evening Chronicle, which I didn't know in 2013 there was still evening newspapers, but good for those guys.
Do they do a morning edition as well?
I don't know. It might just be an evening edition. That used to exist in this country as well.
What are newspapers?
So you got to wear gloves because they gross up your hands. They these big papery things, and there's news on them that are horribly outdated because they were printed at the minimum 7 hours ago. So, yeah.
That sounds pretty weird.
Which means the story was completed 10 hours ago.
Well, you could see why you'd want a nightly one, because things would have happened maybe a couple hours ago.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Get in some of that, midday action.
Okay.
Let's move on to Manchester United.
They got to win.
They got to win, but they were at home and almost lost to Stoke. That cannot be ignored.
Now, Mark Hughes has turned Stoke around. They're not quite the defensive Tony Pulis.
Well, he's turning them around. This is really the first time we've seen them score.
Well, I know.
Any kind of real rate.
Yes. But they're not playing the same kind of conservative style. But I see the point you're trying to make.
But here it is. This is another big scare for United. They're still sitting in 8th. And you got to wonder, things aren't really getting that much better.
No.
You got Rooney playing well, and he even went out in the press and kind of in a week where you can see that it clearly wasn't really a praise of Moyes as much as it was a rejection of Sir Alex with his book coming out. They kind of basically trashed everybody who ever played for him.
Pretty much.
Rooney kind of stated, hey, I kind of want to have this kind of new lease on life here under Moyes.
Yeah. I mean, he's enjoying his football. That's to be certain.
He's playing well. He's on form.
Chicharito getting the winner in the 80th minute.
Yeah, good to see him.
Like a dagger. I was actually, we've talked a lot about how much we've enjoyed seeing United be in the doldrums a bit this year. Chicharito, he just seems to pop up and annoy the hell out of you. He's the one that ruins
exactly
your
when
fun.
you don't want someone to score a goal. There he is.
There he is. There's
Scoring that
Chicharito.
goal.
You could feel it coming on too.
How about Kagawa got a rare start?
I know.
So he's surfaced.
And he played in Europe in the midweek as well and didn't do too poorly there. So, maybe he's finally working his way into Moyes' good graces.
One other point I wanted to point out, mentioned it a little bit earlier, because I don't know if there's a lot to talk about this match. I mean, United put it together, but it took a while, and there was points where you're sitting there going, why are they losing at home to Stoke?
Right.
Yeah, it adds to the narrative that this season is just not getting off the ground.
No.
Too well.
Arsene Wenger even came out in the press and said he wouldn't be surprised if Sir Alex was back by the January transfer.
Would that just be to sell more books?
Well, perhaps.
Okay.
You wouldn't think Wenger would throw him a bone like that. Is that Wenger just talking some smack himself? He's just so poor at doing that in the press. I'm going to talk smack by giving him praise.
This is the same guy that last year tried to get into it with the media during a press conference, and he said, I don't want to talk about what, I think it was when they were, again, not making a transfer move. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about the whole finishing fourth thing. I want to talk about Champions League against, Bayern Munich. And they were like, whatever question about Bayern Munich. Well, I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
No, you just said you did. And then he was like, why are you looking at me? And the reporter was like, it's your press conference. Yeah, you're talking.
We're supposed to talk to you.
That's why we're looking at you.
Yeah, we're all waiting for you to say something crazy, and you're succeeding.
So his attempts to bite back,
never that great.
No. Pretty much disasters.
Yeah, backfires.
As it often is from the French.
Yeah.
Kind of what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But the other note there is Breck Shea. Apparently his agent's working on the escape plan
Well, I've heard that he's going to get a loan move to a championship side.
Yeah, that's what
January.
they're working on.
Okay.
Apparently, Derby County was interested,
Yeah.
but then there was obviously a change in hands of managers there.
Mm-hmm.
So not sure if that's still on the table. So, yeah, they kind of got to find a fit, but obviously, yeah, and Stoke, they kind of threw it out there like, our job isn't to make sure that Breck Shea plays
Gets to the World Cup.
for the World Cup.
And it doesn't really look like they have
job.
any plans at all of using him. So it's probably for the best for both parties
But,
that they get him out.
yeah, I was going to say, they still do want him to progress as a player, and he's not going to do that in street clothes sitting 3 rows behind the team.
No, he's not. So, I wrote a couple weeks back a prediction as to who's going to make the U.S. national team for the World Cup next year.
Yeah.
And I said that Breck either needs to break into that team or find himself another one to play for. So if he's got any shot at all of getting on that World Cup, he absolutely has to play.
Like a year or so ago, we'd be talking about, if you would say a year ago, we're going to get down to it, and Breck Shea's going to be a bubble player.
Yeah, I probably would have said that.
A year ago?
Yeah. When
Really?
everyone was hyping him up as the
So
American
you didn't
Gareth
buy
Bale.
the hype.
Well,
okay.
first off, I hated the comparison of him to Bale.
I
they're
didn't
both
understand
like
that.
tall and athletic and left-footed, and one was a former left back that's converted into a striker, and it appears Shea's going the other way.
But Bale actually has pace.
Yes, and that's the major difference. And the fact that Bale is also the same age as him and is being moved on for world record fees, while Breck Shea is being moved on a loan move to the championship. So,
sort of different directions.
Yeah, a little bit different. When you sign for Stoke, that's a little bit different than Real Madrid, let alone
One man's
Tottenham.
trash is another man's loan to Derby.
Yeah, someone in Dallas is shaking their fist at me when they're hearing this. Sorry, guys.
Some of the other matches, we kind of talked about this before we got started. This was not a very scintillating weekend of action.
No.
Real quickly, we'll kind of hit some of these other ones. Crystal Palace 0, Arsenal 2. Arteta, the hero and almost the GOAT in this one. As
it was close.
He got the early PK, but later got himself a run.
Saw marching orders.
Yeah.
As he chopped down the last man.
Generally, you're gonna get in trouble for that.
It's a tough call. You hate to see it sometimes.
It's a tough call, but he didn't really do himself any favors with it. I mean, it wasn't like it was like, no. I know a lot of people are saying, their feet got tangled up.
Yeah.
When you put your leg dead into the back of someone else's leg,
it usually
they're
knocks
gonna
them
get tangled.
over. Yeah. It's one of those things where it didn't necessarily seem malicious. It was a bit of a tangle of the legs, but he was the last player back. So,
yeah.
As a defender, again, you feel like, man, I mistimed that tackle, and it's bad luck, but it is what it is. But it didn't matter because Giroud went ahead and scored another goal.
He got that late one where it looked like, they brought in the Dwight Gale came on, and it looked like maybe
they might do it.
Crystal Palace might nick one here.
They might do it. So I definitely did not get up and watch this game live. I just had no interest in getting up that early. It was a 7:45 a.m. kickoff.
Yeah, I have children, so I was definitely up for this one.
So I watched a little bit of it on replay.
In fact, I had to sit there and wait around for it to start. That's how early I was up that Saturday.
Having kids sounds glorious.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something to look forward to.
Tony Pulis looking to probably be taking that job there at Crystal Palace this week, I guess. I don't know. They seem like they're making a move.
I hated Pulis football at Stoke.
Everyone's favorite geology teacher.
Yep.
Tony Pulis.
He looks like your weirdo uncle that shows up in a tracksuit to your game and stands on the sidelines and is shouting instruction to everyone, and no one's really listening to him. That's what Tony Pulis looks like. Bend that bill a little bit on that cap, man.
Yeah, the tracksuit.
Yeah. But, the thing is...
I can't imagine what a Crystal Palace tracksuit looks like.
Yeah, it'll probably...
I would say not great.
I bet it has some glitter on it.
It might be made by Fila.
Ooh, that'd be great.
Aston Villa 0, Everton 2. We mentioned before Lukaku gets his 5th goal now in the other blue jersey.
He's not ready.
He's not ready to play.
Not for the big time.
Quality minutes in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tim Howard did have a fantastic PK save and even did the Aaron Rodgers discount double check.
He
afterwards.
did 2 of them, I think.
Well,
2 discount double checks.
Quadruple checked it.
Did someone from State Farm Insurance show up and sue him for that?
I think that guy, the guy with the long black curly hair, came and yelled at him.
Oh, with the cheese head.
Yeah. Might have yelled at him.
And then Tim Howard just yelled right back at him.
I'm sure Aaron Rodgers was appreciative of that gesture.
It's a little bit of love.
That's good. There needs to be more of that. Outside of that, Everton's still playing well and good on them. And it was a cool match to watch because it was 2 American keepers. And despite the fact that Everton did get 2 goals on Guzan, he did actually play pretty well.
I mean, he hasn't really had too many matches outside of the lone U.S. appearance he got to make during qualifying. He hasn't really played that poorly all season.
Yeah,
so
he's really played well. I mean, he had some solid saves in this one. And Lukaku had a header from point blank range that he smacked away. I mean, he's playing well. I mean, it was exciting as an American fan to watch 2 American keepers.
If there's going to be any Americans excelling, it's most likely going to be in goal.
Yeah.
So
we don't have to run.
Yeah.
Liverpool 4, West Brom 1.
How about that strike partnership?
I hate it.
Yeah.
So mad about Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah.
That's what that means, right?
Yeah.
We talked about it last week.
SAS.
Did we decide that's what that meant?
Stephen A. Smith up
Stephen
front.
A. Smith. Sturridge. He's claiming that he had his run of form here could be credited to a pep talk he got over the summer in America's penis, no less, Miami, Florida, from D.J. Drogba. The guy he was once
an apprentice to.
Yeah, tapped to succeed and didn't.
So Drogba gave him that pep talk, and apparently it's doing him wonders.
Yeah, doing him wonders. And Suarez, I think he got a pep talk from, I don't know. Hannibal Lecter.
Probably.
Attila the Hun.
Just wait to bite.
Yeah.
Score more goals.
He had the hat trick.
Yeah, so he is.
Again, when he has the ball, you sit there and go, oh, geez, he scored.
Yeah. So it's his 4th hat trick in the Premier League.
Good night.
He's scoring hat tricks at a faster rate than anyone else has in history. So that's a little ridiculous.
So there's that.
Yeah. And before we stop praising Suarez, I do think it's worth saying that Sturridge's chipped goal for the 4th was just magnificent.
Pretty beautiful.
One of those goals that you're not really sure if he meant to do it when you first see it happen, and then when he actually pulls it off, you kind of go, whoa, that was intentional. So I'll give you a little bit of props there, Daniel.
Some other quick ones. Southampton 2, Fulham 0. Southampton still firing on all cylinders.
Yep.
Gotta love it. They went to their old bread and butter of Lambert, Jay Rodriguez, punching them in.
Ricky's just success story you got to smile at a little bit, huh?
You really got to be happy for him.
They're sitting all the way up in 5th.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those things. You talk about how you have to wait until about the 9th or 10th game of the season to
I know last week we were kind of very apprehensive to label them anything more than just
but they're
side having a good run. Yeah.
They're winning the matches they need to.
Yeah.
And they continue to pester the teams that are bigger than them. So, good on them. We'll see if they can hang up out there anymore.
Dempsey, rumors.
Potentially Fulham
flared
savior.
Up again.
Michael Jackson leaves, replace him with the other American. It's brought great time.
Flared up like
Craven Cottage.
Like Landon Donovan's eye.
Yeah.
The Dempsey rumors. Martin Yole had to dismiss him during the pre- and post-match media sessions.
Though Martin Yole may find himself dismissed.
Yeah, he might not
order,
make it to see said, loan spell.
Yeah. They did smack it down. It's been pretty clear that Dempsey was probably going to go back on a loan.
It makes sense for him, right?
Seattle haven't refuted it. And, hey, he's scoring goals in MLS now.
Yeah.
Goal.
He's on a streak of a goal.
A goal.
Yeah, that's all I have on that one. Let's get to the match that everyone was really excited about. Spurs 1, Hull City 0.
Yeah. At home.
Take it away.
At home.
Or was it at home? ABB said it was a difficult atmosphere.
So, ABB's right. It's just...
What is it now? We were talking about this before we started here. What is the deal with this? You are winning your matches.
We're in 4th place.
4th.
We have 11 clean sheets.
11. What's the deal? Why would someone sit in the stands at White Hart Lane and not be happy right now?
So, Spurs have a mentality where we're supposed to play attacking football and just go forward constantly and kind of have like some flair to ourselves. We're kind of an entertaining team. We don't like to sit back and defend. That's just not what Spurs do.
Sure.
And right now, this team isn't exactly breaking on a fast break every time, and we're not trying to counterattack constantly like we did when we had Bale and Lennon running down the wings. And someone like Gareth Bale affords you the ability to do that. And that's why a lot of Spurs fans love what we've gotten out of the last few years. The Harry Redknapp era Spurs with Gareth Bale gallivanting down a wing and scoring some goal at 100 miles an hour. That's Spurs bread and butter right there.
The salad days.
Yeah. We will definitely concede a goal to you, but you better not blink for a second because we'll run by you and score some spectacular goal. Spurs fans don't know how to behave when we're not really just throwing the kitchen sink and all caution to the wind.
So it's almost like a United fan situation right now where they don't know how to feel because this is not what they're used to.
No. I mean, it's weird how we're finally achieving some modicum of, like, stability.
Yeah.
We've never had a start to a season like we had this year as far as defensive aspects go. And I, as a fan, would rather the team succeed and finish in the top 4. And it seems like a lot of fans aren't willing to accept the fact that perhaps you need to sacrifice some of the style for the actual substance that's going to get you into the Champions League.
Okay.
So.
But is that enough to just be sitting there just all cross-armed?
No, it is not.
Butt hurt that we're only 1-0.
So, I mean, there's definitely questions to still ask. And this team, everyone seems to forget that this team has half of its starting lineup every match is new to the club.
Sure.
Some of them came in the final days of the transfer window. So it's going to take some time.
Now, to be fair, though, you got to admit, even as a fan of Tottenham, they have not exactly been the most entertaining side this season.
No, they have not.
Despite the results, they have not exactly been must-watch TV.
Yeah, I mean, it's different. Part of the reason I fell in love with Spurs is the fact that they were a team that just went.
Yeah.
And this year it's a little bit different. So it's been a weird pill to swallow. But what's more important to me is success. And I am willing to accept boring wins if it means we're actually playing in the Champions League next year.
All right, let's put a bow on the EPL. Swansea, West Ham, 0-0 draws. Same thing to be said about Norwich and Cardiff. Boring. Let's move stateside. MLS season wrapping up just last night. This is Monday night as we're recording this. So
yeah.
We got to see Dempsey. Deuce finally putting one in.
He got a goal.
Hey, how about that?
Way to go,
even
Deuce.
Looked at the fans, pointed at a imaginary wristwatch and said, about time.
Well, it was about time. So I've heard people saying that he's finally learning how to play on the plastic, and maybe that's the case. But Dempsey is, if he catches fire now, the struggling Seattle side could absolutely tear apart the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean,
sure.
It's part of the thing, and we're going to get into it.
I think the West is pretty strong, though.
Yeah. I mean, the West is definitely the tougher conference, but you look across MLS this year, there really weren't any teams that just peeled away from the competition.
No.
So I did write this. It's I don't know that I've ever seen a table this close as far as both the East and West, how the points finished up. So let's talk a little bit about 1 through 6 in the East were separated by 10 points, which is not really that big of a margin at all, considering that's 6 whole places. Even more crazy is 3 through 7 were only separated by 5, which is kind of even more packed in. In the West, 1 through 7 were only separated by 9, so that's another place and 1 point less. 3 through 7 also separated by 5, which I thought was a weird coincidence. So the table itself is really compact, which gives you the idea that it's kind of no one's really the standout teams. So if one team can really catch fire, and a player like Clint Dempsey is someone that could actually absolutely catch fire and drag a team with that fire all the way to the MLS playoff final. So it could be a sign of things to come, but he's still, having his arm issue, and we'll see how that all plays out.
It goes this way. The 10 teams moving on. New York Red Bulls, they get the Supporters Shield.
First major trophy.
I was actually kind of surprised that was the case.
It was the one thing that everyone could always hold over their head when they came into the park.
Yeah. Sporting KC, New England, Houston. And then Montreal. How about those guys?
They snuck in the back door.
They snuck in, but you know what? You got to give them credit for as young of a MLS franchise as they are.
Right.
It's good to see, already in the playoffs.
You just don't want to reward those Frenchies, though.
Well, you never want to do that. Well, I have to be partial to French-Canadian because that's my dad's side of the family.
No, that's where the ginger comes from.
Yeah, I got to be a little polite to them.
Okay.
No, that would be the Welsh.
Okay.
On the West, Portland, followed by Real Salt Lake, LA Galaxy, Seattle Sounders, and Colorado Rapids.
Yeah. So, again, no one really standing out from the bunch. New York won the Supporter Shield on the last day.
Who would you say would be like the surprise team?
Ooh, surprise team this year?
That's in the playoffs. And you're like, wow.
That's in the playoffs? I mean, based on last year alone, Portland. But, they end up winning the West.
Sure.
So that's a bit of a surprise.
Pretty good turnaround.
I would probably say Colorado. No one really expected much out of them this year. Their starting goalkeeper gets injured, first game of the season.
That's what I was going to say.
They had a lot of rookies. So it was, or rookies, not necessarily first-year professionals, but first-year and MLS professionals playing with them. So
a lot of youngsters.
Yeah. So I would probably pick them as my surprise team.
Who would be your surprise team that's not on that list of 10?
Oh, man.
San Jose?
Yeah, San Jose. Supporter Shield winners last year.
Right. That's a big drop.
Yeah, but, they have – it's kind of an old guard in San Jose.
It is.
Speaking of old guard, the very last original MLS player retired yesterday for San Jose.
I saw this. So, I couldn't believe that not more, more wasn't made of this.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of an odd story to go around that quietly, but it was Ramiro Corrales. He was 19 years old, played for the San Jose Clash.
You tweeted out that picture of a little pregame ceremony that they had. That was pretty sweet. They each of the guys on this, I guess those were the starters for the day.
Yeah,
including him. He got the rare start as well.
He did.
Wearing one of his kits, one of his jerseys from throughout the years when they had different names, different color schemes, the whole game.
Oh yeah, I mean it was like a MLS time capsule.
It really was.
That starting 11, which was really cool. You don't see too many things
Baggy
like that happen.
Shirts and all.
Oh yeah, when they used to wear trash bags.
What was the idea there? That just the shirt would flap around and cool you down that way?
Room to breathe? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't really.
It's weird. I go back and look at pictures of me playing back in the day, and everything was humongous on me. Where did we get off? That was such a waste of fabric.
Humongous jersey, but then dolphin shorts.
Yeah, that's true. Also wide, but very short in length.
Short.
Yeah.
Stuff could fall out of there.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that was a really cool tribute. He was carried off the field by his teammates, which, if the referee were really doing his job, I'm pretty sure he could have carded all of them for time wasting, seeing as how they were up 1-0.
That'd be a bit of a dick move.
Yeah, it would be. But Dallas was already knocked out. The funny thing is we're sitting here talking about how San Jose missed the playoffs. They could have qualified on the last day, seeing as how Colorado lost as well. The thing was, they needed 13 goal differential to squeeze through.
That'd be a little difficult.
Yeah. So,
I mean, Wondolowski, he's good, but I don't know if he's
not that good. Yeah. So, but yeah, it is a little surprising to see them out of the playoffs.
So let's talk, just kind of looking at the season as a whole, looking at the way things shook out, some of the storylines that we saw this year in the MLS. Let's talk winners and losers.
All right.
Just kind of storylines, people, teams, whatever, that came out, looking good this year, had something positive happen to them, and of course, on the other side, the negative.
Yeah. So let's start off with at least one winner.
All right. I'll give you a winner.
Okay.
It's got to be Mike Pecky.
Oh, yeah.
The season did not start out well for New York.
No.
They went 1, 2, and 3 in their first 6 matches.
Thierry Henry kind of revolted against them for a little bit.
Yeah, that's not helping things.
Oh, felt that one coming.
But they have this disastrous start. Obviously, as a new manager, instantly people are saying, are you up for the job? Is this something that you can actually do? Or are you capable here to run this organization, that's got these talented players? And then here we are. We stand today. They win their first Supporters' Shield.
Right.
Complete turnaround, really.
I mean, they definitely
silenced his critics.
They definitely look like the strongest team in MLS at the moment as far as what they're capable of producing game in and game out. And I've watched them play twice in person this year, and both games were kind of dominating performances. Once was down in Houston, and they just ripped apart the Dynamo, who are most likely who they're going to face in the first round of the playoffs. So it's they've definitely had a nice rebound, and you do owe a lot of that to Petke for being able to tie that kind of locker room together.
And as a first-year manager, to be able to kind of weather that storm that was the beginning of that season and turn around and kind of the heights they were able to reach, you got to give him a lot of credit.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd probably say manager of the year.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say one of my, success stories of the season was Caleb Porter, who's also put in a nice effort for potential Coach of the Year honors as well. So he took that Timbers team, as I said earlier, from 8th place in the West last year all the way up to 1st, which is awesome. You have to feel for that.
Huge turnaround.
Humongous turnaround.
And for a city that absolutely is in love with their team.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly what I was going to say. That team supports, and, Seattle fans will take offense to this, but they support better by the numbers at bare minimum than their brethren in the Northwest do. And it's awesome to see that fan base rewarded with that kind of performance over the course of the season. So credit to them.
So that's a winner of yours. I'll give my other winner here. I just think the MLS in general, things are just looking, just year by year, there's just been a very good, consistent progression for this league.
Yeah, they eclipsed 6 million total visitors over the course of the year.
You look at some of the other events that have happened this season. Dempsey wanting to move back to the MLS. I think that says a lot about the league.
Yeah.
That he's willing to play some of his, and I've had to argue with some idiots about this, some of his prime years in the MLS, he's willing to play.
Absolutely. Forgo, the extra prestige of playing overseas to come back home. That says a lot about your league. He have to want to come back here.
Yeah. I think you look at the fact that right now you have 4 or 5 cities working on trying to put together a bid. Some in more advanced stages than others. We got New York.
Yep.
They're done. They're set, ready to go. Orlando's basically there.
Yep. They just got their stadium approved.
You got, your San Antonios, your Miamis that are kind of that next level down of trying to get things happening.
Atlanta, they look like they may be on the cusp.
You look at where this league was a few years ago when you were losing teams.
Yeah.
You were going in the other direction.
So it's a lot of credit to Don Garber and his team for what they've been able to do.
Absolutely.
They've grown this league really intelligently. And, aside from, and I don't know who I'm stealing this from, I'm sure I read it somewhere, but aside from Chivas USA, what was the last bad expansion that this league did since they contracted? Has there been a bad one?
No. To the credit, when they contracted, they were getting rid of some problems.
Yeah.
As tough as it is, and as much of a black eye as it's always going to be to shrink your league, at least from the outside looking in, people are going to say, "Oh, things are going horrible there."
Well,
it was a necessary thing that had to happen.
In logo terms alone, Miami Fusion, the Tampa Bay Mutiny. The Mutiny had like an alien bat for a logo with some awesome.
What do you say? An alien bat ain't cool?
Well, it's a really poor.
What is an alien? What makes it an alien bat?
I don't know.
That it can breathe.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to breathe oxygen.
Well, it had really slanty, evil-looking eyes, but it was kind of shaped a little bit like an alien.
That's a poor concept.
Yeah, it really is. So the league's really come on. So I think that is definitely a good winner. So I had one other winner as well, and it was someone that I, again, mentioned a little bit earlier, but it's Colorado. A team that no one really expected to be in the hunt this year and to make the playoffs. They rode the backs of some, really inexperienced guys into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And it's impressive to see, and I did want to call out a couple people that I thought were really impressive. And
it wasn't exactly a club that was a who's who.
No, and it was all really in that back, the back line. Chris Clute and Dylan Powers, two first-year players, both coming previously from lower league football here in the States.
Which shows that system is working.
And Clint Irwin, another player that had played. He's their goalkeeper. He's been kind of a breakout player this year.
Is that your buddy?
Yeah, he's a buddy. I do know him, but I think it's worth giving him some props. Also coming up through the ranks of Charlotte Eagles last year.
Sure.
So it's impressive to see the American soccer pyramid churning out quality professionals that can have an impact in the league.
All right, let's
talk about the losers.
Get the naysay. I don't know if people can hear right now a police scanner going off right now. We do apologize for that.
We are not robbing a bank.
We are not on surveillance.
No.
We are not on some kind of undercover sting.
Coming to you from the jail cell in the Butler County Courthouse this week.
I think I'll throw out one real quick loser, and it's just the continual downward spiral of Chivas USA.
Yeah, I definitely have that.
Every day that goes by that they're where they are and named what they're named, it's a bad deal.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a black eye on the league. Probably
it is.
Probably worse than the contraction at this point because we can't seem to even do anything about it.
No. I'm a little, we talked about Don Garber, what they have been doing. I feel like at some point the league has to just step in and just try to fix this problem. I mean, and they have cities that are really willing to take a team. Why not expand when you can just move that team? Because, again, every day that goes by that they are where they are is a disaster.
Well, I think the league wants desperately to keep two teams in L.A. I mean, I think that's a big portion of their goal.
I understand that, and now they're going to have two teams in New York, and they want the big markets. Obviously, for the dollars, it makes sense if it works.
Right.
Because right now, I'm not sure how what the profitability is of a team that can't get more than 500 people to show up to the match.
Well, I mean, a big thing, and I read an article about this a couple weeks ago about them desperately needing their own stadium.
Sure.
Being at the Home Depot Center is not working for them. It's nowhere near the population they're really shooting for. Obviously, the Latino sector in Southern California is nowhere near there.
So do you have to be in Southern California, though? Can't you just move to San Diego?
So there's been talk of that.
Group?
But, part of the issue there is a lot of those fans, with that being so close to Tijuana, actually support that team. And Tijuana actually are a solid team. In that portion of Mexico. So it's hard to fight that following. But I think what the league would really like to do is see Chivas USA moved closer to downtown and rebranded. The Aztecs name has been thrown around a lot just because it's a historical NASL name in LA, and it's not going to happen, seeing as how a number of other teams probably have copyright claims on that still.
Sure.
But you're right. I mean, something needs to be done.
Something has to be done.
I don't know what the league can do. Legally, they can't just force them out.
No, you wish. And I don't know what the parameters of the league is. Obviously, it's different circumstances than any others because the way that the MLS is set up. But in Major League Baseball, there is a clause called. I don't know what it's called, but there's a clause that's basically the commissioner, in the interest of baseball, can pretty much do whatever he wants.
I don't think MLS has that luxury, though.
Yeah, I know, but you almost wish there was something like that, where Don Garber can just come in and say, enough.
Right.
We are going to go find an owner. We are going to force you to sell this team to whoever we can find, and we choose.
Yeah.
And you're just going to live with that.
Well, I mean,
that's how it's going to be.
And that would be great, but I think, the biggest problem they're going to run into with that now is we just completely fabricated a team up in New York. Up out of nowhere. No real desire for,
sure.
Another team in New York at this point outside of the league office. And that club had to pay $100 million to get in. And you know that the guy in L.A. that owns Chivas USA is saying to himself, I'm in another huge market, and you guys are going to have to find me $100 million to buy me out of this.
You have some other losers?
I did. So, again, I keep harping on the people we've already rained on a little bit, but DC United. Just
not good.
No, I mean, they're the team with the deepest history in the league, winning the most championships. They were the juggernauts of the early MLS days, and it's sad to see them under the guidance of one of their former heroes, Ben Olsen, just fail to be anything. I mean, they were worse.
Floundering.
Beyond floundering. They were worse than Toronto FC, and that says a lot. And Chivas, for that matter.
Yeah.
So it's
way worse than Chivas.
Bad to see them like that. But then again, I'm also going to rain a little bit on Toronto FC. That club, they spend more money to get no results. I mean, it's just a bit flabbergasting as well.
That front office is a disaster, though.
I've seen a lot of links this week to Tottenham players. Both Jermaine Defoe and Emmanuel Adebayor have been linked in the past week to Toronto FC.
See, I've always contended, though, that, the Canadian teams are going to kind of struggle with the fact that, part of the allure of some of these European players to come over and finish out the career in the MLS is that they will actually be in the United States.
Right.
Not Canada.
Well, I mean...
Not America's hat.
If you're ignoring, playing conditions for a minute.
I'm talking about off the field, enjoying their life.
Would it really be that much worse in, say, Toronto as opposed to Kansas City?
Yeah, but look where all the guys want to go. They don't want to go to Kansas City either.
Yeah.
They want to go to New York. They want to go to L.A.
Yeah.
Because they want to either hang out with celebrities or hang out with celebrities.
Well, celebrities seem great. Florida's penis. Let's get a team down there.
They can hang out. Yeah, if they go to Toronto FC, they can hang out with the stars of many TV movie on Lifetime. Those are all filmed there.
That's true.
So you got that going for you.
All right. Jermaine Defoe does love a good Lifetime movie.
I know Ryan Reynolds is from the Vancouver area. I'm not sure how much time he spends there. So.
Yeah. Maybe if
you probably see a few celebrities.
Maybe if you really like maple syrup.
I do.
That's not surprising.
I also like poutine. And you can only get that if done right in Montreal.
All right.
My other loser, and really I'm going to hit them twice, and that's the LA Galaxy.
Oh.
First of all, they kind of lost in the Robbie Rogers deal. Let's be honest with ourselves.
Well, they definitely did.
They lost a player that ended up just playing with his hair on fire all year.
Thank God, because not the rest of his team had anything on fire, despite that being the name of the franchise.
He had pretty much carry Chicago all season long.
Yep.
Imagine what a full season in LA would have looked like.
I mean, it was definitely a poor decision. You think they'd probably be sitting a couple places higher in the Western Conference if they'd had those goals in their tally.
Robbie Rogers made very limited appearances for them. I mean, he was not exactly a fixture of that LA squad.
I mean, it's going to sound harsh saying this, but he may have just been a marketing move for them.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of there was a lot of things behind the scenes of why that happened. I mean, obviously, he did want to be with his family.
Right.
He did want to come back to the MLS. He did want to continue playing, and he did want to, be that guy, be the first, openly gay male athlete in North America.
And kudos to him for doing so.
But it came at a cost
of getting rid of one of your best players.
And it was just one of those rough things where Chicago had the rights to him. I mean, it sounded like Chicago was willing to bring him on, I guess.
I mean, I don't think Chicago would have been opposed to bringing him in.
No.
But
they needed something. I mean, they're terrible.
Yeah. Please, bring it in.
I don't think
Give
they
us
were
something.
hurting.
No, and they definitely could have used a player like Robbie Rogers on their team, although maybe they couldn't based on how he's played.
True.
But that said, losing McGee, maybe he would have had the season that he did if he had stayed in L.A.
I don't think he would have, because he wouldn't have needed to.
That's true.
He needed to have that season in Chicago for them to even have a sniff at the playoffs.
Good point. So
LA kind of losing that way. And this is, again, LA-Chicago situation. LA did the whole, hey, fans, invent our third kit. It looks horrible.
Well, it's like a weird
it's a piece of crap.
Rastafarian.
Yeah, it's
like
not good.
No.
It's basically like they had 7 different ideas for a jersey and just took pieces of all of those and made one.
Yeah, they really did. And Chicago.
Chicago had a contest going this year for next year's third kit. I looked at the finalists. They all looked freaking amazing.
Yeah.
Because they were all a play off of the Chicago flag, which is a pretty cool looking flag.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, they all looked really good. You kind of would figure, though, that L.A., kind of more of an epicenter in America for fashion, would be able to string together
something a little bit better looking.
Something a little better for
Well, there's the
that
thing.
kit.
Robbie Rogers does have a clothesline.
He does.
Maybe he will consult on their next third
He
kits.
needs to. Because that thing was, they wore it Sunday. That's why it's fresh in my mind.
That could be it.
Not good.
I do think they went for that on a potential side as well. I mean, Rogers is still young. I mean, he's, 24?
Oh, absolutely.
And he has ample time to blossom into a better player.
Absolutely.
And he's had a lot of pressure on his shoulders. I mean, carrying that responsibility around. He was obviously getting sick of talking about the topic towards the end of the entire episode.
Yeah, I think going into it, he was real ready to kind of face the press, but as it often does, that kind of thing just beats you down.
Yeah. So, maybe giving him a little bit more time and he'll bed in a little bit better. I bet he'll have a better second season back in the league.
Well, let's be honest, the 2 big names that came back to America from England need more time.
Yeah.
Both need to go back in the oven there.
Exactly.
Not ready yet.
Exactly. So, do you have a favorite for who you'll see in the MLS Cup?
Like who I'm seeing in the Cup or who I'm to win it?
Well,
what are we going here? We want the whole thing?
Let's go with finalists, and then if you want to, hazard a winner, call it now.
It's hard to not say New York Red Bulls at the moment.
Well, they do look a little promising.
They're playing really well. They have the best record.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have to say they're going to be in it.
Okay.
I think from the East, I think they're much better than outside of Sporting Kansas City. The other 3 teams in there, I would say they're much better than.
Yeah.
In the West, as much as I want to, I like Portland.
Mm.
I really like just what they're all about. They just seem like a cool club to watch. I want to see Dempsey make that run.
All right.
So I'm going to go Seattle. I still think New York probably pulls it off.
So a New York-Seattle final with New York winning out.
Yeah, I think I'll go with that.
All right.
I'll write that down. Make sure we have that for the record.
Well, if you went with them, I'm going to go a little bit different direction. So I actually picked 2 completely different teams for the final. So earlier in the week, I endorsed Sporting Kansas City to be the team I was actually throwing my weight behind this tournament. I think they kind of have a mental edge they've lacked in years past, although seeing New York kind of swagger their way into the playoffs, and steal the Supporters' Shield with a 5-2 dominating win was just a little unnerving in that pick. But I'm going to stick with Sporting KC because I went with a midweek, and then I think Real Salt Lake are going to be the team that make it all the way from the West.
All right.
So what I really want more than anything is not a third year in a row of LA and Houston. I can't do it again.
I will commit to it right now that if that's the case, we will not be recapping that MLS final.
Nope. I'm just not going to do it.
MLS Cup happened.
LA won again.
Yeah, how about that? All right, moving on.
All right.
All right, so we wanted to get to this, and this is something we were kind of batting around this week. You mentioned your love for Real Madrid.
Yep.
Guess did it increase with Bale now joining, or is there some bitterness?
I'm a little bitter about them getting him still, but at the same time, they gave us a hell of a lot of money for him, so I'm not too upset. But it is kind of cool to see them back in, having a player that I like playing for them again.
Sure.
Kind of makes it a little bit more enjoyable.
Yeah.
So.
And cash is good.
Yeah. Cash is great.
So we threw out this whole thing about, is it okay to like more than one club? For me, my first love is Chelsea.
Right.
When it comes to football, it's Chelsea. And outside of that, obviously I support the Crew, although I'm one of the worst supporters ever. They should probably disown me. I've gone to 0 matches.
Okay.
I've spent literally 0 money on them.
Yeah.
I'm not I'm not what they're looking for.
You're not getting us any invites anytime soon.
I plan on going.
At some point.
Family thing that kind of causes problems.
They have a family-friendly atmosphere up there.
So I like them, and then also, club of the same colors. I kind of fell in love with Dortmund a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I just really like the style. I love Klopp.
Yeah, who doesn't?
Klopp I said last week, I wanted him desperately to take the Chelsea job.
Well, who doesn't want them to take the job at their club?
I love Klopp. I love Lewandowski. They're just a fun German club to watch. I feel like Bayern is they're an amazing club, but there's something.
It's like rooting for the team, that is going to win. It's like the Yankees.
Yeah, something about them that just they come off as like the bad guys.
Yeah.
The baddies, as they would say in England.
Maybe like Chelsea or United would in England.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I know. Hey, I'm just, swatting away.
I don't know. I've always, maybe it's just Frank River. He looks like a villain.
Well, he looks like he would definitely be a Bond villain.
Yeah.
Like the great scar on the side of his face.
Yeah, Robin would be a good henchman.
Yeah, he really would be. Although he'd be very indifferent in the long run.
Yeah. His arm would just flap around.
Yeah.
That'd be his move.
Yeah.
Just hit you with a dead arm.
Oh, man, that'd be annoying.
So, yeah, I have other clubs that I enjoy.
Okay.
Do I love them to the extent where I'm buying merchandise, clearing my schedule to watch them? Maybe not so much. I'll always look up what Dortmund does every week.
Right.
I'll go seek out highlights.
You follow along.
And I'll watch The Crew on a Saturday night.
Right.
Absolutely. From the comfort of my own home.
Exactly.
With my own beer that cost much less.
Okay. You sound like your average NFL fan right now, by the way.
The NFL fans don't go to games.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I feel like this is okay. I feel like it's okay if you do it right. If you don't try to play this whole even 50-50 thing.
Right.
I talk about it a lot with friends when it comes to, Major League Baseball, NHL, whatever. You got your team, that's your team. And then you just have that team that you just really appreciate watching. And maybe when your team doesn't make the playoffs and they do, you kind of go ahead and emotionally invest in them for that run.
Right.
Doesn't mean much. They're kind of almost, I've equated it to they're like kind of like this sports mistress for you.
Right.
I don't know. I feel like it's okay. You?
Well, I mean, it's you touched on it a little bit, but you have to have a favorite. Like
you gotta have. There has to be someone in that number one position.
And there's something that drives me absolutely insane about a guy that will passionately claim that this is my team in one moment, like, oh, Barcelona, they're my team, and then Arsenal, they're my team. Like, no, you have to pick one.
Yeah.
Like, if they were playing one another, who would you root for? And if you say that I can't pick a side, then you are not a good enough fan to claim either one team.
Like last year, had Chelsea woke up in Champions League play and qualified for the knockout round, they actually would have played Dortmund.
Right.
Shakhtar ended up playing them because they took that spot.
Right.
I would have absolutely just rooted for Chelsea.
Yeah.
There was no, I hope Dortmund wins too. No. I hope Chelsea slams it down their throat.
So I actually got to experience this a couple seasons ago when Tottenham, when making their Cinderella run into the Champions League, all the way to the quarterfinals, we faced off against Real Madrid and lost. And I absolutely threw 100% of my weight behind Spurs. And when Real Madrid were scoring, I was cursing them up and down like I would any other team that would score against us. So it's one of those things that I'm okay. I mean, it would be absolutely hypocritical for me to say you can't have another team because here I am a Tottenham fan, and I do, much like yourself, I claim to be a Crew fan, although I actually go to a few games every year.
Well, maybe if I had a press credential.
But that said, it would be very hypocritical of me to say you couldn't have two teams and then me actually support two teams.
But see, I think that is a little bit different, though. I think it's, I think it's something this is uniquely American.
Yeah.
In the fact that we have our own league. Obviously, we love We love the game, so it's hard not to
support the local side.
So and that's one of the things I came up with. I have a few rules
of engagement for
if
picking
you're
a
gonna
second
do this,
team.
Because I feel like it's okay. I know there's a lot of people that just listen. If you went to England and you said any of this crap right here, they'd punch you right out that bar stool.
Well, you'd be surprised how many people in England actually have a team they'll pull for, you know?
That is true. My buddy Simon Evans, writer for Reuters, he's from Manchester area. He's from Burnley.
Okay.
Burnley.
He's a Burnley supporter, hopefully.
He is a Burnley man.
Okay, good.
But obviously Burnley's not on TV a whole lot.
No.
So he says, yeah, I do like to watch, you know, I kind of follow United a little bit. Because, you know, they're the big club from my area.
Gross.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
He's also, you know, an actual Brit, so I think he gets carte blanche to make those decisions.
Yeah.
I really don't feel like I have any weight to call him out on.
No. Let's hear about these rules.
All right, here's the rules. First rule, and I think this is pretty basic, but I feel like it has to be said. Can't be from the same league. I don't want some Arsenal Newcastle fan. No.
Like those idiots that you'll see in the NHL that'll like wear half Columbus Blue Jackets jerseys and half Red Wings jerseys.
Yeah,
have you seen those?
Absolutely
not.
not.
That is against the rules, folks.
That's an abomination.
Do that and I will light you on fire.
I think the guy on Monday Night Football just drew a telestrator penis. Awesome. So anyways, I think that goes without saying. If your first club is in the EPL, if your first club is in Serie A, that other club you kind of like can't be in any of those leagues.
Nope.
Now they can be a league down.
What if you get promoted?
Well, you got to make some. You got to have.
You got to make a decision.
You got to have an adult conversation with yourself.
Yeah.
About what you're gonna do.
Okay.
But you know, we had someone chime in on Twitter that they obviously have their EPL team, but they also like a little Leyton Orient.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay.
They're
pretty unlikely those two teams will face off, you know, unless there's a deep FA Cup run or maybe, you know, a Capital One Cup appearance.
Right. But otherwise,
you're
pretty
safe.
Unlikely.
Yeah, you're safe.
And if the day comes where they're promoted into the Premier League, you just need to have that talk with yourself. That's on you.
Yeah.
Second thing, the second club cannot be a geographical or historical rival of your first club.
So like a Tottenham and Arsenal fan.
Right.
Assuming they were in different leagues.
Or like, as a Chelsea fan, I'm not rooting for QPR.
No.
Because that's a geographical rival.
Yeah, that would make sense.
They're not in the Premier League at the moment. Still not okay.
Fair enough.
You know, I said historical rivals. If there's sides that have some deep, especially if it's if your first club got destroyed by them in Champions League and just, you know, in the finals.
Kind of like Celtic and Rangers at the moment.
Yeah.
You know, with Rangers relegated all the way down into the Netherlands of Scottish football.
I would say at the moment it would be really difficult to be a Celtic and Barca fan.
Yeah.
Because Barca's kind of been their
whipping child lately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in Champions League 2 years in a row now.
Yeah, it happens.
Third rule, cannot, and I stress this one a lot because I feel like this is where a lot of people make their decisions. I feel like just like your first club, you can't just like and root for a second club just because of one player or one manager.
Oh man, that's totally why I like a team. Why I even like Real Madrid.
But then what if that person leaves?
Well, they did.
Ozil left.
That's not why I was there.
Dang it.
Don't you dare say that. No, I actually fell in love with Real Madrid because of Roberto Carlos.
But you stayed with them afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll give you credit.
Okay.
Because the problem, the reason why I threw that out there is because then who's to say the second that manager or that player's out of there,
that you don't move
just
along
go
with
ahead
them.
Pack your bags too.
I'm becoming an Inter Milan fan.
I don't like that guy.
Yeah.
I don't like that guy with first club stuff of, I just follow this guy wherever he goes, and that's my club. And
yeah,
I got
that's
this
a
kid
little weird.
and that thing. And no.
I'm loyal to a player. It's weird. Players don't stick around that long.
No, it's never a good move.
Okay.
To just be that. And the fourth one, the hometown team is always acceptable.
Yes.
You don't even have to count it against your total.
Nope. You can just keep it. It's fine.
It's part of you.
These are great rules.
Those are my only rules. I didn't feel like you had to go too far specific.
No.
I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to add to that.
No, I think that's a great set of rules. I think, one other thing that needs to be said, if you have a team in every league,
you're probably.
You don't.
And that's why I said the hometown club doesn't go against the count.
Yeah.
Please, let's keep it.
Limit your attention span.
Have your local MLS side, have your EPL or whoever, the club that you live and die with internationally, and then have someone else that you really admire.
Yeah, but don't go nuts with it. You can like watching other teams from time to time, but if you're going to sit here and tell me that you have a favorite team in France and in Italy and in England and in Germany and in Romania and in Moldova and in Tasmania.
I do have my Besiktas jersey.
Okay. But you know what I'm saying.
I don't root for them.
No.
My dad bought that when he was in
Turkey. I have a Colo Colo jersey, which is from Chile.
There you go.
I
do have for some reason, I don't know why I own this. I think I got it on sale at an outlet mall. I own a Club America jersey.
Ooh. A Mexican team?
I do. I own a Club America jersey.
It just feels dirty.
It's long sleeve, too.
Oh.
Which doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, it never even gets cold in Mexico. What is that for? When they travel north in CONCACAF Champions League matches?
I might have had the patch on there.
Yeah. I mean, if you wore that to a game, there's a good chance you might be the only America fan there. So.
Here's my other question. Do you extend these rules to international teams?
Yes.
Are you against people that are like, oh, obviously I support the U.S. men's national team, but oh man, I love me some Three Lions. I love.
There's only one other way that you are allowed to support another team. Now you can fancy watching a team,
Sure.
Who doesn't like watching Brazil or Spain play?
I love to watch Spain pass it 90 times.
Yeah, but the only way you can do this, and again, this is something that is a little uniquely American, although happening more and more in a modern, shrinking world, you have to have some sort of heritage or cultural tie back to that other national team. I think I'm almost 100% German blood, so I think I have a little bit of
About
a right.
50, yeah.
I have a little bit of a right to root for Germany.
I admire that.
I don't. But I don't.
I feel a little salty, a little dirty, still rooting for the Germans.
In anything? In any endeavor?
Oh, except for Dortmund.
Okay. No. There aren't any gas chambers anymore, Jeremy.
And Schürrle.
Yeah. Not Michael Ballack, though. He's one of those dirty East Germans.
He's a terrible TV person.
Yeah, and that. Yeah. Tim Howard, you're better than Michael Ballack.
Hey, Tim. You know what Michael Ballack did during the Euros? Don't do that, and you're hired.
Done.
Boom.
If you need more practice, you can come on our pod too, Tim.
Yeah, we'll definitely have you on.
We'll get some room in here for you.
I feel like the people that just fall in love with these international clubs, you're walking around some white guy who is some, European mutt, heritage-wise, rolling around in a Brazil jersey.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Well,
what are you doing?
Everyone has a team, and I guess there's not really a problem with necessarily having a jersey. I would be guilty of having had jerseys from time to time. But
most people don't just have jerseys just for the sake of having jerseys.
Yeah. If you have more than one jersey from a single national team, then you're breaking
this
rule.
Club.
Yeah, So.
Quickly, we wanted to move to Little World Cup talk. We did have a question on World Cup.
Yeah, and it ties in nicely with
the story.
The recent storyline of how Michel Platini, the president of UEFA, has suggested that World Cups need to be bumped up to 40 teams.
Hey, why not more?
I mean, it's 8 more than we currently have.
More is always better, right?
It does seem like we should reward mediocrity more.
Like if I had 5 buffalo wings right here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all right, that's not going to work. There's 2 of us here in the room.
Yeah.
If I had 15, that could work.
7 for you, 8 for me.
Well, I feel like I brought them, so I would get the 8.
Okay, fine. We'll give you the 8th one.
Yes.
Okay. Hypothetical boneless wings.
Oh, they're boneless? You can have all 15.
Sweet. I knew that
boneless
would work.
Suck.
Anyway, every time that it's brought up that you expand a tournament, regardless of sport, and you were, suggesting the NCAA earlier with the basketball tournament, expanding.
And they have expanded throughout the years.
Yep, and the World Cup has too. And back in the early days, it was 8 teams that showed up, and as recently as 1994, we only had 24 teams that were going into the tournament. So there were the same fears that were presented when the tournament's been expanded in the past. That we're diluting the talent pool, that we're not going to have as good of a game, and at times that's true. You're going to be stuck with some dour matchups.
I feel like though, looking at the World Cup, for the most part in the past, especially most recently, the bad club was just the host team.
Yeah. I mean, most recently
South Africa,
could say that.
They were crap.
When it was in Japan and South Korea, both of them did make it on pretty far. South Korea all the way to the semifinals.
Yeah, but I mean, going into that, you're like,
yeah,
they're gonna suck.
No, I mean I just don't know how many more teams outside of a few more from Europe really deserve to be in.
And I think that's the thing. If you're talking about adding, the question is, where are you adding from?
The reason why this even came up is earlier in the week, Blatter suggested that Africa deserves more World Cup places, which I think
based on nothing.
Yeah, based on nothing. They've performed pretty poorly as a continent in World Cups. We gave them a World Cup. They didn't make it any farther than the quarterfinals. But
outside of Ghana, it wasn't really. I don't think anyone made it to that.
Yeah, so it's not like Africa's that much more deserving.
And you look at the two things: quality of play and ability to bring in
dollars, which is all FIFA really cares about.
I was just in Africa. There aren't any dollars.
No.
Except for the ones that I left.
Yeah. Way to go, man. You're stimulating the
Daddy
African...
Warbucks over there.
Yeah.
Throwing around the greens.
You probably felt like a filthy rich man.
Oh, it's hysterical because you change out your money. And we literally changed out $200. And we got back just this giant wad of hundreds.
Nice.
And you just had this just wad of hundreds. 100 burr. 100 burr is about $5.
That's nice.
Yeah. You feel rich.
Yeah,
you got that wad.
Until you realize the inflation's decreased the value of that by half by the time you leave.
Yeah. That's like $40 actually.
Yeah. So, you do worry about those concerns, but this actually kind of rolls into this odd, question that we did have come across, but it's kind of, well timed.
I would imagine this person also read the article as well.
They probably did. But they wanted to know a bit about World Cup seeding and how that actually works out. And that's been a bit in the news because of the seeds that have been put in place for this World Cup, at least for the initial pots.
Well, in the past, it's been a bit of a mystery in some ways.
Yeah, so it was a little odd. So in years past, I actually went back and looked all this up because I wasn't exactly sure how it all worked out. So in the 98 and 2002 World Cups, the rankings were based on, or the seedings were based on FIFA rankings and performances in the past 3 World Cups. So if you did better in prior World Cups, then obviously you get a little bit better seed. And if it's your first...
That kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it's your first song and dance, you shouldn't get a seed. 2006, it was based on FIFA World Cup and the past 2 World Cup performances. So again, I think they were giving a little bit more, credence to the newbies. 2010, it was based solely on FIFA ranking. FIFA rankings are far from perfect. So there was a lot of controversy in that respect.
And it's FIFA rankings when? Because FIFA rankings change throughout the years.
They do.
Throughout the year. And depending on what's going on, some countries are a little more idle than others.
Yep.
And you lose
and that
spots
was the big controversy before the last World Cup, was the fact that the rankings were taken from the November rankings. Well, if you were playing World Cup qualifiers in November, you could drastically increase your rankings because matches that count for things count way more than matches that are just friendly matches, which is what all the people who had already qualified were playing. So you could see your seed go down even though you had already wrapped up your place for people that were playing in your same region.
Yeah, that's a bad move.
So that didn't go very well. So this time around, they did the rankings based on FIFA rankings alone, but November's rankings will not be counted. So when they actually throw everyone into the rounds and we get our draw here a little bit later on in the year, we're not going to actually keep the most recent rankings. We're going to look at this month's rankings. So that did produce some kind of odd results because of, teams that you see in there. So you had the normals, Brazil, Spain, Germany, Argentina, Uruguay, or the Netherlands. If Uruguay gets in, they'll actually get the one of the seeds. If they don't get in, the Netherlands gets it. So those teams are all kind of normal.
Okay.
But then you see teams like Colombia and Belgium who, haven't even been in the last few World Cups at all, and they get seeds. Now, granted, both those teams are very, very good teams right now. We talked a lot about the Belgians. Probably everyone's dark horse pick. It's hard to call them dark horse.
Yeah, at this point, they may not be dark horse.
No, they may just be regular favorites. And Colombia are really going to be an underdog. They're going to catch a lot of people by surprise. The big name, obviously, on that team is Radamel Falcao. But they're a very good side as well. But then you see a team like Switzerland in there. Switzerland.
The Swiss, eh?
Can you name me a player that plays for Switzerland?
Roger Federer doesn't play.
No, he doesn't. He
plays
out. Wrong sport.
Nope,
yeah,
got nothing.
So, that's one of those things where you're a little shocked to see that. So there's been a bit of controversy. How does a team like Italy, who, won a World Cup 2 World Cups ago, how do they not get ranked?
Still have, some pretty top-tier talent.
Yeah.
I think you always got to remember this. And Grant Well threw it out there. Yesterday or today. FIFA is just like the NCAA for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
They make decisions and they do things that favor this group and hurt this group, and they're lenient here and tough here, and they help out this guy. And listen, America's benefited from that. I mean, I would definitely say that part of the reason why CONCACAF has as many automatic bids is because they want America and their money to be involved in the World Cup.
Right.
So they're going to make arrangements to where that's easy, but it's very doable every go-around for the U.S. to make it.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where they know where they're going to make their money, and they want to make sure that they're taking the most advantage of that as they can. So expecting FIFA to make logical decisions, I can't believe people are still expecting that. You should just expect them to make decisions that are a little fuzzy or ambiguous or downright wrong. Qatar.
They are their own world, their own government.
Yeah,
anyway.
They really are.
And they're going to do things, and honestly, there's really not much one can do about it.
No.
They're just kind of going to run their thing, and
that's
that.
Until all the big clubs and all the big countries decide they're actually going to revolt against, the corruption that is clearly pulsating through FIFA at the moment.
Yeah.
This is what we're stuck with. So, there's no perfect system for picking World Cup seeds. Let's make that point clear. There's always going to be a complaint from someone. And, whether this is the right system, we'll be able to bitch about that in 10 months' time.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Nah.
I think it kind of wraps it up.
I think we've had enough to talk about today.
It's been a full show.
If you've stuck with us, kudos to you.
Sorry about parts of it.
Yeah.
Next week we got actually some pretty decent EPL matches.
We do.
Arsenal, Liverpool.
The Reds versus the Reds.
I'm gonna go Reds on that one.
Okay.
Everton, Tottenham.
Both teams that wear white and blue.
Yes. And then I had to throw it on here. Not really a great matchup. In fact, two teams that aren't horribly relevant in the picture, but for the first time ever in top flight English football, we are going to have a Welsh derby.
So English football.
Welsh derby.
Okay.
Cardiff, Swansea, first time ever in top flight.
The South Wales derby.
It's going to be pretty awesome.
It is going to be kind of cool. It does seem an occasion, even though it's not really much of an occasion as far as the teams that are playing. Vincent Tan sees it a worthwhile event to actually fly all the way back to England.
Well, he's hosting it. He better show up.
Yeah, you'd hope he would. I can't wait to see what kind of shirt he has tucked in underneath his jersey.
I'm going to say something pretty nice.
It will be nice.
That's it, folks. I think that's all we got. We got Capital One Cup going on this week.
Feel the excitement.
Chelsea, Arsenal, and a bunch of other terrible matchups.
Everyone get used to it.
Can't wait.
We'll have plenty to talk about next week.
Yeah. Well, next week we'll have these great matches. We'll look forward to Champions League continuing. And don't look now. We are getting close to yet another international break coming up.
All right.
Like mid-November.
Are you going back to Africa?
I'm done with that.
All right. So with that in mind, we'll go ahead and wrap this one up.
All righty.
See you guys.
Bye.